Hi, and welcome back to our interview casting. Today, I've got the privilege of having Hayden from Unloc on the call with us. Hayden's here to share his wealth of experience that he's had through building his own business. So, Hayden, welcome.
Thanks, Steve. Really excited to get stuck in and explore this.
So, Hayden, just for everyone that's kind of watching this, just give us a little bit of background about Unloc, who you are, what you do, and kind of a little bit of background about yourself, if that's okay.
Sure, no problem. So I think I probably have the best job in the world. I'm sure there are lots of people that would claim that, but I really do believe it. So I'm the managing director of Unloc. We're a leading non-profit social enterprise working in the education field. We support nearly 15,000 young people every year to explore how they can be a change maker in the world. So we work with schools and colleges to design changemaker strategies where young people can explore all the different ways and means by which they can make a positive difference to the world. So whether that be through entrepreneurship, through student voice, through leadership in their community, through their careers, we're providing all the different lenses through which young people can explore how they can make a positive difference to the world, and at the same time helping them unlock their own inner potential. So as I say, we've really grown our reach over the last few years. So we're now supporting nearly 15,000 young people each year. We're in a network of over 500 schools and colleges, largely in Hampshire and London, but we also do work in Birmingham, Manchester, and elsewhere. And we're really determined to grow that reach. We want every young person to feel like there is an outlet for their potential, there is an outlet for them to be a change maker, and that they can be part of society and moving the world forward rather than just being a passive consumer within it. So that's kind of our kind of message. And we work closely with businesses to bring that to life as well. So really
Amazing.
excited to be sharing some of that kind of journey and story with you today, Steve.
Amazing. Obviously, kind of as a social enterprise and what you do in the industry you're in, what's the last couple of years look like? How did COVID affect you guys? What changes did you have to make at that time? What did that kind of era or that period of time look like for you guys there at Unloc?
Well, I don't think there's any business leader in the world that would say that, COVID was a breeze. It was a real roller coaster. I think the biggest challenge for us was just the sheer uncertainty of everything. Operationally, how we were going to deliver our programs and outputs, financially, how we retained income and maintained our stability and our ability to operate. From a staff point of view, how you kept connection going and building team morale, all of those were challenges. For us, we made the decision very early on to pivot to digital. March, of course, we had the first lockdown. Within 3 months, we had built an online platform called Unloc.online.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really quick turnaround. Everyone kind of hands to the pumps. And we built a series of 12 e-courses, which we could offer as an alternative to schools and colleges that couldn't run our physical program. So we weren't refunding schools and colleges. We were offering a credible alternative for their young people to do from home. And we very quickly had to become masters of Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and every other platform that could possibly exist. No school or college uses the same system. So we had to get used to being really great deliverers online. And when you're trying to teach young people or develop the skills of young people online, it's a very different approach to doing it in the classroom.
Yeah,
Some of
sure.
the natural tools of engagement are completely different, and the way that you pull people in is completely different as well. So the answer, Steve, is we had to pivot quick and fast, and it got us through the other side. Really, I think people were grateful that we made that effort.
And I get there's a big point in there, I think, for me, where you made already, which was around you made the pivot and the change so you didn't have to refund. So you could hold on to being more blunt about it from a business perspective, your cash, your resource, etc. at such a crucial time. What were the key learnings that came out of that then? So not necessarily just around COVID, but around what that taught you as a business, what that taught you as an owner, as a managing director. What were the key learnings that came out of that for you, Hayden?
I think it taught me that when you've got a really well-defined objective that you can rally the team around, that you can really achieve miracles. In such a short period of time, we were able to develop that platform, and everybody worked night and day to get it live, because there was such a clear goal that everybody understood and was working towards, which is different to how we operate, you know, in a real world context, because we're operating lots of different projects in lots of different places. Where there's one clear objective and everybody's moving in the same direction, you can really move mountains. That for me was a really valuable learning. So now when we take on big projects like that, we don't task one project manager to work on it. We create steering groups, so small groups of people to support one another, and to encourage one another, bring new ideas to the table. So a more collaborative approach to delivering on projects and outcomes. So that's a huge learning. I think we learned how valuable it is to communicate as a team more frequently about what we're up to. Weirdly, you would have thought with COVID, you would achieve this kind of level of disconnection. We did the reverse. We had a daily check-in with everybody that was still working. So Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. And we all felt much more connected to what each other person in the team was doing. Whereas the busyness of life had meant that, you know, people were out doing stuff and you missed them, and, you know, you weren't in the office at the same time. So it really taught us the value of connection and the ability for digital to make that happen. So now we do team get-togethers twice a week online, and it's a great way for people to share what they're up to, what they're struggling with, what's going well. So those are a few key learnings for us, and you know, I'm really proud of the journey we've gone on. It was really difficult. You know, I don't want it to sound too rosy, because it wasn't. There was lots of hurdles we had to overcome, but you know, we really came out the other side stronger as a result of it.
So that, I guess, really communication point there is the key, isn't it? The speed of communication around the business, and that open and honest communication around what are we all doing that can help contribute to each other was a key learning. How does that compare to, let's take your business journey as a whole then, Hayden? Don't focus too much on COVID. Take your business journey as a whole. How does that compare to maybe your biggest learning that you would express throughout the whole time that you've been running and in charge of Unloc?
I think there was a greater intensity, right, to those learnings, because you know, you were in a pressure cooker during COVID, right? So you had to learn, and you had to learn quickly. It was just, you know, really, to put it bluntly, it, you know, kicked us in the right direction, kicked us up the bum, and made us innovate and try new things in a way that we hadn't done before.
Nice.
And encourage us to test and explore and be more risky in the way that we did things. So I think it was quite a profound learning for us, because there was that intense kind of pressure cooker kind of environment. If I compare that to, you know, there's been so many learnings. You know, I started the organization when I was 16. I'm 25 now. So it's been a 9-year roller coaster, and I've learned so many life lessons. Over that 9-year journey. I think they just felt more intense and more real and more essential, really. Like, we had to learn, we had to evolve, we had to change quickly. It was that or fall over, really. Nobody in the team was willing to let that happen. So the pressure cooker environment in this instance was a real value to us. It moved us forward. It enabled us to do things differently.
So what's the kind of, if you were to take from your whole business journey then, COVID aside, what's the other big learnings? You said they're life lessons and big learnings. What are the other ones that really stick out for you then, Hayden, having been in charge of Unloc and driving it forward?
I think there's so many learnings. If I pull out just a few of the ones that feel kind of most prominent to me.
For sure.
I think partnerships and relationships are critical, and finding the right partnerships and relationships are critical. Understanding who operates in your space and making sure that you're building those relationships is essential. So when we first started the organization, it was kind of scattergun marketing techniques to anybody and everybody that would listen. What I've learned is that you need to be far more kind of thoughtful and considered when you're thinking about how you grow your business and the people that you connect with. So now in our approach, we have a hit list of people that we want to get in front of, that we know will open doors for us. So that's a
Amazing.
huge lesson. I think I have learned to acknowledge that I don't know everything. You know, when I first started the organization, you know, you try to pretend you know all the answers, but of course you don't. And you know, I've recognized that there's actually credibility in asking for help. There's credibility in recognizing that you're on your own learning journey and you're not perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Rather than, you know, pretending you've got all the answers to all the big questions. So recognizing that and using it as a superpower rather than a weakness has been immensely powerful, actually, in you know, the last few years of our journey. And it's also meant that we brought more people on board, right? So in recognizing our areas of weakness and asking for help, we've achieved allyship with organizations, with people that have really helped us to move forward.
Nice.
So that's quite critical. And I've learned to believe that the age genuinely is no barrier, although it felt like it at the time. You know,
I imagine at 16 that was quite a fear for you, you know?
Yeah, it was really fearful. I shared in an interview recently that when I was about 16, 17, and we were first developing Unloc's programs for schools, I went in to speak to a head teacher about, you know, my idea, walked into the room, you know, as confidently as I could, shared my idea with excitement, walked out the room and thought nothing more of it, and called this head teacher the following day, who forgot to put me on hold. And he then went on to have a conversation with his PA, which effectively went along the lines of, just tell him I'm busy. I haven't got time to deal with little boys in suits.
Wow.
Which for me was a huge knockback.
For sure, yeah.
It would have felt like a knockback, but it really drives me now, actually, to help other young people recognize that actually you're, you know, being a younger person in entrepreneurship is a real strength, a real asset. You bring a different lens to your work, and it's driven me forward. So I think I've learned that you know, credibility doesn't necessarily come in other people's you know, view of your age or the, you know, the point at which you decide to start your organization.
For sure. I think that leads me really nicely on to kind of my next question as well, which is like, what drives you, Hayden? What motivates you as the entrepreneur, as the business owner?
I think what drives me is the impact we're making, right? That's the single biggest reward for our work, is seeing the difference we make to young people's lives, and the ability for us to scale and grow that to reach even more young people. So that's the real motivator. You know, when you hear somebody share that, you know, by taking part in that experience, you know, they've developed the confidence, the ability to achieve things they never thought they could achieve, you know, that proves positive that what you're doing is worthwhile, is valued, it, you know, has an ability to help move the world forward, and that's really where the reward is. So that's what motivates me every day. You know, is
Nice.
how can we help people, right? How can we help young people to feel valued, empowered? The education system, when I was in it, and quite frankly, to be honest, to a certain extent, the education system now is operating on, you know, education 1.00. Like, education hasn't really innovated or moved forward. So, you know, it motivates me to innovate in that space, to try things differently, to do things in a new way. That excites me. That challenge excites me. You know, we reach 15,000 young people a year, but there's millions more that we've not yet touched.
Yeah, nice. And what's the journey taught you about yourself then? So obviously, you know, your drives are very much motivated by others, what the difference you can make, the social enterprise that kind of you run that delivers that. So on the journey so far, what have you kind of learned about yourself? What's the biggest learnings or the biggest takeaways about you as an individual you've learned?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think I've learned that the drive I have can often come at the expense of my own ability to balance other elements in my life. and that I need to find proactive techniques and strategies to achieve balance in my life. So, you know, I'm really lucky to have a partner that kind of grounds me and pulls me back. You know, if I'm still in the office at 8 o'clock, she'll call me and say, "Why the hell aren't you home?" kind of thing. And that does really help. But just generally, I've learned that ambition can have consequence, and I have burnt out a number of times, and it's really quite a painful process to go through, because you're left with zero energy in your system. So I've learned that needs careful moderation, that my enthusiasm and my ambition can be both a strength, but also my own potential downfall. So that's a huge learning about me as a person. I think I've learned that I'm really emotionally connected to the mission and what I'm trying to achieve.
Okay.
And that really drives me forward. But I also have to be really conscious that in a business setting, that has to be laced with realism, with reality testing, and I can't act from a place of emotion. I need to act from a place of reason, really. So I've learned that about myself, that actually often emotional learned behavior drives how I often show up. And actually there's lots I have to unlearn, really, in that kind of context. I think, what else have I learned about myself? It's a great question. And I think I've learned that I am absolutely able to really make a difference in the world. I think, you know, I'm not sure I fully believed that when I first started the organization. You know, I have a lot of confidence now and a lot of belief in my ability to do something really positive that has a legacy that perhaps I didn't believe when I was growing up, and there was perhaps a lack of in those kind of formative years. So I think it's taught me to believe in myself, and that I am really capable of making a positive difference to the world.
Nice.
So those are just a few reflections, but I think there's probably a list as long as my arm, really, on that. Because you know, from my perspective, Steve, the journey of setting up my own business has been as impactful and valuable as any other learning experience I've had. School, college, sure. University degree. You know, you have to be the accountant, the marketeer, you know, the receptionist, all in one. That learning journey really has been the most powerful one of my life, I think.
Nice. And I think, you know, like you say there, you have to wear so many hats as a business owner and a business leader that I think it can't help but teach every business owner a lot about themselves, but also that of others, and business, and all the different hats that you got to wear, the strategies that go with that. There's so much and an abundance of it. Yeah. So what does the future hold then for Unloc? Where are you going? What are you heading for next?
It's a great question. So our overall aim is to reach as many young people as we possibly can, whilst continuing to innovate and evolve our programs to best meet the needs of the 21st century generation of young people. So we want to see Unloc programs running in every corner of the UK. So that means scaling our programs, but doing so in a way that feels meaningful, with quality at the heart of it. The way we achieve that is by growing our teams, investing in our people, and at the same time investing in technology and new ways to reach young people in ways that perhaps we wouldn't traditionally engage with them on topics like entrepreneurship and leadership. So that's where we're headed. We're headed to an organization that really gives young people at a national level a platform to be change makers. And we also want to achieve a greater depth of impact too. So we're launching in 2 weeks' time our new Changemaker Studios in London, which is a great learning space for young people, but it's also going to be a space where young people can work from. But along with that, we're also launching the Changemaker Fund, where we're going to offer grants of between £500 and £1,000 to young people who have a business idea, a charity idea, a community project they want to test or run. So we're going to take it one step further and start putting even more power into the hands of young people, because we know they'll do amazing things when we do that.
Brilliant.
So we're going to take it one step further.
No, that's really nice. I think it's kind of such a clear mission and clear understanding of where you're going. So I guess Hayden, my last question for you today. If you were to give someone starting a business right now a piece of advice that you've learned, or if you were to start Unloc again, what would the one thing you would do differently? What's the one piece of advice you'd give someone?
I would identify the areas that perhaps I feel less strong at and ask for help sooner. I would try to leverage support from all the different possible places I could get it, and I would recognize that those weaknesses are opportunities for me to learn from others. I think if I had embraced the ability to leverage other people's expertise and to recognize that I don't have all the answers myself sooner, then I think I would have been further forward than I am now. So yeah, ask for help. People generally are quite willing to give up their time to help people on that first step of their journey. So ask for help. Don't assume you know all the right answers, and just go for it.
Amazing. I think that's some great advice. Hayden, thank you very much for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best success for Unloc in the future.
A pleasure. Good to chat.
And you, take care.